one's for my lover. Beautiful from the hair down, even though your hair greases up the pillows, the sheets, and even the covers. Afros, cornrows, and even a few combos. Hair plait too tight now you can't even smile or laugh. I tell you a good joke and you just shrug it off. Picking and choosing who gets to comb your hair. Couldn't really understand until you made it clear that this one plait nice, but her hands don't agree with your hair. And this one plait so tight, before she starts, you start to shed a tear. But in spite of all of that, you're rocking it, girl. On point every time with your puffs and your curls. You're as beautiful as ever. I can't imagine what you mean by making it better. Better? This one's for my daughter. Short, long, hard, soft, wavy, curly, nappy, or nice. You'll come to know this one thing, and so I'll say it twice. Embedded in her story is your hair story. Hear me again. Embedded in her story is your hair story. Your hair is your glory, it's a part of your beauty. Don't ever let anyone tell you differently. Promoting self-hatred is beyond cruelty. Mama's gonna do her best to make sure that your hair looks good. Sometimes it might be painful, but try don't get rude. Just sit down quiet so she could done comb it quick. Bring the brush to comb the big teeth, the fine teeth, and even the afro pick. Don't forget to bring some scrunches, some bubbles and clips. Your hair is a part of your beauty, the envelope to your letter. Now trust me, only your beautiful, confident, I got this smile could make it better.
Deliver me by herself, and she was amazed at all this hair. When she looked down, that's all she saw was a bunch of hair. And they had a rough time dealing with it, because at this point in time, with the first comb I do with my hair is normally something like that, and they didn't exist back then. They used to give us the combs they got from I don't know where, but it wasn't our women that was known for using them. We just had to use them, okay? Most of them were like this. I would think, well, not this. This came in the 60s, but you know the regular comb. At any rate, in the village in Grand Cause, there was a lady named Miss Yvonne. And Miss Yvonne had the knack to be able to comb certain girls' hair. And she combed my hair. My grandmother just couldn't deal with it. No one wanted to deal with it. So they sent me most of the time to go to Miss Yvonne to put my curls in. And some of the other girls used papillote. You know what papillote is? It was the newspaper or the brown bags that you twisted and put your curls in Saturday for Sunday morning church. Okay, my hair made me in Grand Cause a little princess of my grandmother, because whenever there was a procession, whenever there was a wedding, they would always say, can we have Patsy? The name I hate. Patsy, okay? Can she come? Can she do this? Can she crown the virgin? Can she? But it was all because of this massive, and it was even more massive then because we didn't have the products, or we didn't know about the products that should have been used back then. There's aloes now, which I do use. Back then there was a lot of Vaseline, he's absolutely right. Coconut oil. I use coconut oil until I don't even want to see coconut oil, much less smell it. Okay? There was coconut oil, and then to get away from that, I would use olive oil. Which was precious. I mean, you didn't touch anybody's olive oil. You had to sneak it most of the time. But sometimes they had a blue grease that came in, I don't know from where exactly, but this blue grease was very, very good for certain hairs and kept the sun from breaking your hair most of the time. I am, whoops. It goes fast, huh? I treat myself to one pleasure, because my hair, I go from this to this, Someone gave me this at the last hair thing, and I looked at it a little bit because it's hard, but it's actually very good. And I think I was surprised that it was so well. You see, it's going to hit me off right now. But there's one thing I treat myself to, is that I treat myself to a good brush. So I have a Pearson and Mason brush, but the plastic one, because I like the fact that it stimulates my hair. Although the boa hairs are supposed to be better for your hair. Know though that I did not use a hot comb in my hair at all until I was 18, when we got into ironing long hair and not the hot comb. I used a chemical in my hair twice for modeling purposes and didn't like it. You would be surprised that these straight hairs too get a lot of knots. Okay, my time is up, so I will leave it.
So what did I hear? I heard about the evolution of the brush and the comb. I heard the use of the, is it papaya? A papaya? The papaya? Papillette, I think I got it this time. I heard about the use of the olive oil and the blue grease and the aloes and the Vaseline and the coconut oil, and then eventually, as she matured, she used some hot comb and tried to stay away from the ironing or vice versa. But nonetheless, we got a little picture or insight into some of the stages or some of the phases that she went through in coping with this hair. But before we move on, I want us to acknowledge the authors in the audience who are here as well, that I would like us, our St. Maarten authors in the audience. And being, of course, that it's International Women's Day, I want to particularly single out those women authors of St. Maarten. So if you are an author, St. Maarten author, now, past, future, going to be as well. Let's stick with the ones that are author right now. Can you please stand so that we can acknowledge you and give you a resounding applause for this exceptional work that you do. Excellent. Please. Thank you so much. And their books will be on display in the back, on the table. Oh, it's right there. I'm sorry. It's right there in the middle. So after we have finished for the evening, of course, you would have the opportunity to purchase some of those books if you are ready, or if you have not already owned them yourself. So we're gonna move on to the next hair story.
I kept this hairstyle and I didn't get much harassment from it. But when I had my hair cornrowed, I remember children used to call me picky head, because within 2 days the fine hairs would start sticking out. So I would take it out quickly and put back my 4 twists. And when I was in 6th grade, I remember very clearly my brother, who was then in high school, pulled me to the side. He said, "Don't you dare come to MPC with your hair in 4 twists." So then it was time to start figuring out what I would do with my hair. And I kept falling back and putting my hair in 1 because I did not know what else to do with it. So I started experimenting and trying to cornrow by myself, but I could only manage the front sides going down, never going back. So I did that for a while, all patterns in my hair just coming down and the rest in 1. I didn't know how to take care of it. I didn't know what products to use. I didn't know not to comb my hair when it was dry. So at some point, I became very frustrated. I was tired of my natural hair. I begged my mother to let me straighten my hair. She was not having it. No way. She said, "This is your hair. This is what you were born with. Keep it." So I went along with it, and finally at the age of 17, I relaxed my hair. I was so excited. I remember for the first time going to the salon and sitting down with the relaxer in my hair. And I'm like, yeah, when I finish, I'm going to town, I'm going to sport my hair. So after it was all said and done, I looked in the mirror and I had this nice, at that time I thought, nice straight hair. So I went with my friends into town, and an hour later I caught a glimpse of my reflection in the car window and my hair was like whoosh. I didn't know that after the first relaxer you would have to do it again so that it would really take. So there I was again, frustrated, my hair in one. I kept up the relaxing of my hair, switching from relaxer to texturizer, which did the same thing for my hair. And as the years went on, I got very frustrated again. Because every time I would do my hair, I would get burned. Don't scratch your hair, pat your head, don't do anything. I did all of those things and I still got burnt. At the age of 23, I had my son and I was attending USM and there was no time to go to the hairdresser to sit down for hours to do your hair. So I decided, well, time to go back natural. I guess my mother was right. I was so nervous because this meant I had to do the big chop, cut it all off. So trying to convince myself to do it, I took some in the back and I cut the back so that I would be forced to do the big chop eventually. After walking around with just a patch on my head, short and the rest relaxed, I said, okay, it's time to do this big chop. And I went to a lady in town and she cut it all off and I was like, I'm sitting there and I'm seeing my hair fall on the floor. Not that it was healthy because my relaxed hair was very damaged. But it was still a shock because I never had short hair like that. And I posted a picture on Facebook and I got so many positive comments about it. Oh, you look so nice and it really takes you. And I was like, okay, it's gonna work. So I kept it up for 6 months and I got to that stage where it was too long for certain hairstyles and too short for other hairstyles, and again the frustration set in. So I went back to old habits and I went back to the salon and I relaxed it again. And from the minute that the hairdresser washed out the relaxer, I regretted it. I was like, my hair was at that point I think about 4 inches long and I was really regretting it. What did I do to my hair? So I let it like that for a month, again in one. And I did the big chop number 2. I had ½ an inch of hair on my head. But because I did it before, it was okay. I wasn't as afraid anymore. It's been about 3 years now since I'm natural, and I have about 10 inches in length. I'm still trying to figure out what works and what doesn't work. I have also realized very quickly that all those nice hairstyles on YouTube, they work when you do it in your brain. When you have to do it on the actual hair. And sometimes the failed hairstyles look better than the originally planned hairstyles. All in all, it has been a journey for me with my hair. I can confidently say that there's no way I will ever relax my hair again because I have learned to love my natural hair. Where I see friends with relaxed hair that have a little growth and they just chop it off. It's okay. So I hope that those who are transitioning, those who are still relaxed, and those who are already natural, that you continue learning to love your hair and how to treat it well. Thank you.
So what did I hear? First, mother knows best. Yes. And it doesn't matter, just once you can cornrow and guinea, as you would say, it's a good thing. I also heard that you have to learn to love your hair. And not only learn to love it, but to treat it well. So that was also a very important point I heard there. And then I also heard that frustration can cause you to go to the other side. I also heard your busy schedule, because that's what I heard as well. And of course, all right, the show must go on. I also heard that if you can't really, I'll try to stay focused now. If you can't cornrow or guinea your hair, the next best thing, put it in one. Put it in one. Now, before we continue to the next hair story, I'm going to ask Mr. Lasana Sekou to please come and share a poem with us.
Peace. A walkabout poem for Patsy Brooks. New Year's Eve in the Great Salt Pond. 12/31/10/11. Last old night, a fire catch again. Just so, sudden so. Right before and left after the first eve of the new daylight coming soon for these own eyes to see while these ears hear. A little way off, the boardwalk was less lighted blast this year to fire the old night. And we still a little way off to blaze the free sky. It was still burning. It was still burning the garbage on the dump. It was still burning, belching a fouling bath, breath of smoke like a burning dog. It yelping from a disassemblage, garbage, bleeding aside, wounded out like by swords of zinc and stink and ooze and crap and scrap. Finger into Fort William, unhealed omen face of rockscape, battling flames, grinning fiercely fierce, bust of glass bottles crackling, a reddish beast rage. The Patsy broken ghost, I'm telling you, the Patsy broken ghost this time, to she mound heaping murderous, dump, sight. Where she can't walk about no more, not like a woman to cart the best she can. Pushing green bottles to trade and pushing green bottles to trade and puppies to bathe is our lives too. Scavenger. But that can't be the last herald of her name, like the newspaper say. Her legs crushed. The colony's compactor did it. Ruptured main artery. Dateline the ignoble name of Pond Island. Severe blood loss. Lapping salt, weeping memories. But ding dang dong, I'm telling you. But ding dang dong, the gate's still open. You check? Because then they say, was the gate closed, it would not happen so. But ding dang dong, the gate still open, you check? If I shall pass to see the gaping gate flung wide open and desert still. But if a wandering tourist had legged here and was walking without asking, take a picture of your small child or feed up a grown man ass and get a God forbidden lash for thanks, then all the usual would be in a church braying to lock, stock and barrel and calls and laws to protect and poor king and safety, and we ain't friendly, and we economy, and what to do to sell the island, and we economy, and government mouth dung and them shouting so sorry, and we economy, and that piece of gate, I'm telling you, that piece of gate would have been shut, closed, one time. But what did she be again? What set of brook she blood flood from this time? What is her beauty of gentle eyes, smiling life, blue, black, and bleed on the dump? Crusted pus boiling on the great pond? Where life dunk in brine, centuries gone? Was like whatless nothing but grief and gone. Now let's end this one here. Done the dump and the pond and let's see how to park it away. A last ditch zone to own, a ring a road around, half a whipping white sand of a salted torn crown, strangling torn, seal the cradle of the nation. So, you want pretty poem for the dead? You still want pretty poem for the dead? Thank you.
Thank you for that poem, Lasana. And as you were reciting, I was seeing Patsy right in front of me. So thank you.